Hi there, this is Kim. Today we're talking about Halloween. My girls told me that I need to start doing my Halloween projects, so this is the first of it. This is a really easy project. It does take a little time because there is some sewing involved. So I am going to be using this 3 by 5 3/4 paper bag. Everything that you see today is from A Muse Studio except for the washi tape. I cannot remember where I got that washi tape. I've had it for quite a while, so today I am going to put it to good use. So to start with, I took a piece of cardboard that I have laying around on my desk, and I have the bag on top of that cardboard. So that way when I start to ink the bag up, it won't get all messy on my mat. As you can see, I place one strip of the washi tape in the sort of in the center, so that it'll give me a guide to tape off the other sections that I will not be inking. And I am using an extra piece of tape to use as my guide as I place the other strips in between. And I'm just doing this in a diagonal pattern. You could do it any way you want. You could do it horizontal, vertical. I just like to have it diagonally done. So once that's all laid down, you just make sure that the tape is down really good. Don't worry about it lifting or tearing your bag. Washi tape is pretty forgiving. So I am now going to ink everything up. I'm using the Onyx pigment ink, and I like using pigment ink to sponge or use directly onto paper because it gives really good coverage. And I just go over everything, making sure that I'm covering the exposed parts of the paper bag. And sometimes if you don't sponge really well along that tape, you won't get a nice clean line. You'll miss some things. So just keep on sponging and keep going over the same spot so that you'll get a nice coverage. The only thing about pigment ink is that it does take a little bit longer to dry, so just be careful when you start taking the tape off. It gets a bit messy. But that's okay. That's why we have water and towels to clean our hands. Okay, so I'm going to continue sponging, and I'm going to play some music for you while I finish inking up this bag. Okay, now that you've peeled the washi tape off, and I hope your fingers are not too inky, now you've got this really nice, clean, diagonal striped paper bag. We are going to do some sewing. So what I do is I start out by measuring the crepe paper. This is lime crepe paper, and I'm measuring it 4 times the length of the bag to create the ruffle. And as you can see, this is how I learned how to make a knot when I started sewing many years ago. I just take the end of the thread and I wrap it around the needle about 7 or 8 times and then pull it right through, and it leaves a nice clean knot. So to start with, I'm going to um, secure the end of the crepe paper, and then just sew along the center of the crepe paper in long running stitches, and just make sure that you get nice long stitches, because this is paper, so you don't want your stitches to be so close together, because if that happens, it could easily tear. And you just keep on sewing those running stitches. It doesn't take that long to do this. And what this will, because the running stitches are not tight, it will help you to pull the thread tighter towards the end. If you do not sew, you can always use double-sided tape. Just make sure you use a really strong tape, like red line or some of those scrapbooking double-sided tapes. They're pretty strong to create your ruffles. So you would just make sure you scrunch up the ruffles as tight as you would like it, and then stick it down onto the double-sided tape. So just keep going, and we're almost to the end of the crepe paper. As you can see, it doesn't take that long at all to do, because I am sewing in really long running stitches. And so once I get to the end, before I secure the thread to the end of the crepe paper, I'm going to take my paper bag, and I'm going to lay it down on the crepe paper on top of the paper bag to make sure I get the right length. It does take a little bit of time to make sure that the length is correct, because once you tie that knot off, then you're done. So just take your time and make a knot at the end of the crepe paper to tie it off. When I'm done with that, I'm going to kind of adjust the ruffles so that they are distributed evenly. And I'm going to take my paper bag now with a ruler, because the bag is 3 inches wide. So I am marking a 1.5 inch line for the center, and just use some glue. Just run a line of glue along the pencil mark, and then take your ruffles and just start working the ruffle onto the bag, and just try and get it as centered as you can, because it really, it really doesn't matter. I guess it's just personal preference on how you like the ruffles to be. I kind of like mine as centered as possible. It's just more pleasing to my eyes when I do that. And so once you get all the ruffles in its place, now I'm going to die cut the pumpkins. This is a pumpkin tag from A Muse Studio, and I'm using the petite orange polka dot, and I die cut 2 because the bag is small and the pumpkin is a nice size, and I'm using the foam tape to put on the back of the pumpkins. What you didn't see is I made a mistake, and I cut the tape too big, and I put it way to the outside of the pumpkin. So I ended up having to start over and die cut a couple more pumpkins, and because the tape needs to be a little bit thinner so that it works better, putting it towards the center of the pumpkin, so that it can go directly onto the crepe paper. And just position it however you like. And I kind of have mine a little bit, one to one side and one to the left side. And well, that's all I have for today. And I hope you enjoy making these treat bags. There's more details on my blog. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.